What is up, everyone? Welcome to the show. Frugal BC here, and we got a great slate of news for you today. Hope everyone's doing well out there. Market's doing pretty well, I think. Actually, believe it or not, didn't look super closely at them this morning. Lots of things to pay attention to this morning. And let's get some chats in there. Let's get some likes on the video. We got to show this out to more people, and I should be asking for that early on so people can see how good, so people can see these videos and they can learn about Algorand and Chainlink and Ondo Finance. All these are three chains that I really like, and we've got goals for all of them. Also, something new I learned I can do that I haven't done before is a super chat goal, and so we're gonna do a really simple one today. Today I got a new experiment that I'm going to be starting, and I'm going to reveal that experiment if I get one super chat in. I think I set it for an hour. So if we get that goal, we get that super chat goal, one person has to be, I believe, $5 or more. And I'll probably talk about that a little later as well when we get more people in here. But we've got a pretty good audience already. So if you're watching on YouTube, super chat, I get one super chat of at least $5 worth. I will reveal my new experiment that I'm going to be starting in crypto. So we will check that out. We'll dive into that once we hit that goal. So thanks so much. Thanks for everyone for tuning in. We've got some great news around Chainlink, Ondo Finance, and Algorand today. I always got a nice little slate. Now, yesterday we talked about Algorand governance. There's a new governance system for XGov. We covered the space. I'll admit it wasn't necessarily the most fascinating space in the world. I'll totally admit that. It's one of those things where it's like, it's kind of boring, but it's really important to cover. I think it really matters to cover that stuff and to learn about how it works. So when we get to our Algorand segment, I took some notes yesterday. I mean, we all got a sense of how it worked, of course, but if you were watching the space, you got the inside scoop on that. But we'll cover exactly how it works, and we'll dive into that. That'll be a lot of fun. So hope everyone's doing well out there. I say that a lot, don't I? Really interesting. Obviously, some very troubling news this week. Not really our space to cover necessarily, but it is worth talking about that in the wake of Charlie Kirk and what happened to him. And of course, it'd be on Solana because, well, of course, that's the way Solana works. Some people created cryptocurrencies using Charlie Kirk's death as an excuse to do that. I think that's really gross and disgusting. I'm not a fan of that. I think it's just one of the most awful things I can think about. So not a big fan of that, but it does not surprise me that that's what would happen on Solana. My animals are going crazy in the background, having a little battle of the living room creek, as I call it. But yeah, we got news on Chainlink Reserve, a new partnership in Chainlink, so we're going to talk about that. Lots of cool stuff from Ondo Finance, and some really good stuff from Algorand on TVL, on looking at some OGs in the Algorand space. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. So we'll get into all that. Chat really quiet this morning. Usually I start up and I got some chats going on, but it's a little quiet today. So make sure you drop in, say hi. Always good to hear from you guys. And like I said, one super chat of at least $5, and we will reveal the new experiment. So just kind of testing out that feature. I think it'd be fun when we do these live streams. Lots of stuff to talk about. And one thing I'm going to tease you on a little bit. Is I got an interview coming up, and well, it's someone you all know and like. I don't want to reveal it yet, but it sounds like it's going to happen for sure. And it's someone that you all know and love formerly from Algorand. I'll give a little hint there, and we'll probably see that happening soon. So expect that in the next few weeks, because I'm really excited about that. Well, why don't we just get into the crypto markets without further ado? And by the way, if you're watching on X, love to have you, always happy to have you there. I can see your comments, so don't be afraid to leave comments. And anywhere else, also we are on Kick, and appreciate everyone. We do get some viewership on Kick. It's pretty cool. So You can be the first gifted sub. You can leave the first gifted sub and top the leaderboard there if you're watching on Kick. So appreciate you having there. Let's Oh, we got Protagonist in the chat saying Ondo is by the same table as Stellar and Ripple on CoinFest Asia. Cool. Yeah, Protagonist, I know you're a big IOTA fan. We'll look at those prices today maybe a little bit. Let's dive into the market. And like I said, things are finally looking nice again after some very not nice, some very not so great price action. So altcoin season, we're actually veering into altcoin season. We're on the 65 out of 100. So, you know, Wolf of All Streets was saying we've rotated from Bitcoin to Ethereum, and now that rotation is coming to Solana, which looks obviously true. So we'll dive into that. Coin market cap 20 up 1.1%. Total market cap over 4 trillion again. That's $4 trillion in crypto. Let that sink in. That's huge. That's huge. Up 1.26%. I think this chart they added here, the average crypto RSI, is super interesting. Kind of going slightly toward overbought versus oversold. And let's just go down the list here. We got Bitcoin at 115,000. So we've crossed that key threshold at 112,000. That was a key support level to get past. On its way up. Nice to see that. 4% on the 7-day. You know, decent. Not amazing, but that's not really where we're at. Where we're at is, you know, Ethereum heading back up to over 4,500. And we got Stacy Cole in the chat. Welcome, Stacy. Should I reveal it or not? Well, let's just say she's someone very close to me. We'll leave it at that. Let's see. Oh, now I'm all flustered. Yeah. XRP at 303, over $3. Now remember we were at 350 on XRP, so looking nice, but we know we're not back to where we were. And Solana, however, up to almost 240, up 18% on the week. Very, very nice. Let's see, BNB up a little bit. Dogecoin, meme coin season again, looking like up 24% on the week. That's looking really nice. Chainlink, now we're definitely going to be talking about some Chainlink this week. 10%. I know some fans, and we got some fans of Hyperliquid, 21% up on the week. So things were looking kind of dismal and now looking good again, which is really cool. Avalanche, 18%. Well, you know what? Let's dive. Well, here. We're going to talk about Hedera at 24 cents. That's looking really nice, 11%. And I want to skip ahead to, I'm going to skip ahead here to Algorand. Unfortunately, past that 50 mark, sitting at number 52, but it's up 7% on the week. That is not bad. 24, almost 24.5 cents. Good to see. Pump.fun is really screaming. All right, let's just look at the top on the 24-hour. Who's really pumping in the last day? This meme core, you know, this showed up recently on the top 100 and it's been working its way up. I don't know anything about it. Form, this is another one is brand new to the top 100 as far as I can tell. I don't recall seeing that one. Up 11% on the day, but down 26%. And then Pump.fun we just mentioned. Bonk. Ondo Finance. Look at Ondo Finance at $1.09. I wish I'd bought more of that. 20% on the week. 7%. And then MYX Finance. That's another one. Pengu. Obviously the coin from Pudgy Penguins NFT series. I have a feeling this one's going to pump for sure. You know, we got Solana up there. We got Jupiter, that's a Solana coin, I believe, right? Even Tezos, blast from the past, Tezos. I used to own a ton of Tezos. Looking good. And then Chainlink looking pretty good. We got XDC working its way up. Where's our troll Bobby Jonas? You know, Bobby, he comes in here and he always talks about XDC, and we always make fun of him. We go back and forth. It's a lot of fun. Oh, Immutable X is up there too. I should mention this one briefly because this was it seemed like a good project. I was actually playing a game that is very similar to Magic the Gathering on Immutable X, but it's Ethereum based, and or at least it was. Maybe they switched to their own chain now. I hope so, because Ethereum's so slow that and so expensive that the Web3 features were basically turned off in the game because gas fees were too high. Not a good sign. How about the weekly? What are we looking at the weekly? Yeah, this MYX Finance just worked its way into the top 100, pumping 1,200%. Wild. WorldCoin, I believe that's associated with the Trump organization, up 83%. Mantle at 38%. Memecore 37%. Pumped on Fund, we mentioned earlier, about 32%. SPX 6900. Bonk, Dogecoin, meme coin. Yeah, we got a ton of meme coins. You know, I talk about this a lot because the meme coins, they're silly, they're fun. You shouldn't take them too seriously. But on the other hand, like, you can make money on them. So don't count them out necessarily. Yeah, Hyperliquid doing pretty nice at 20%. Ondo at 20%. Pyth Network. Solana at 18%. So I've already taken, I'm in a total moonbag territory on Solana, by the way. Like I bought all my Solana around when it was sub $20. So I've already like taken profits enough to take my initial investment off the table. Thus, it is completely de-risked. So if Solana could go to zero, I'm fine. That's a good place to be. Render's a cool project. I haven't really invested in it, but it's a cool project. You know, it's this idea that you can earn money from extra compute power. I do not have extra compute power, but if and when I do, that'd be kind of fun. Oh, even near protocol, but you know, it's like 272. Near protocol was at like $7 or something earlier. So hopefully we'll be seeing that some stuff rotate into that. Dog with that, boy, that was one of the dumbest things I bought. I mean, I'm glad it was just a little bit, right? But definitely one of the dumbest things I've bought. Oh, wait, actually, is World Liberty Financial, is that the one that's associated with Trump? Maybe I had that wrong. If I did, I apologize. Yeah, Chainlink looking nice on the week. Yeah, I just wish we had Algorand a little farther up. I've really soured on Sui as a project. I do think they're doing some really cool stuff in terms of UI. Some stuff that's like always frustrated me in crypto. Sui is doing actually really well. Really smart stuff. However, I find their permission structure, the fact that you need like millions and millions of dollars to run a node, which means only a handful of rich people control the network, that's not great in my opinion. So I've pretty much stopped. I own Sui, and you know, definitely made some money on it, but as a crypto project, I have concerns, which is maybe something we'll get into later. Because just because a project doesn't have the best fundamentals doesn't mean it won't pump in price. You know, I have numerous criticisms about Solana, numerous, and yet I've made money on it. I made lots of money on it, and I will keep making money on it because that's how it works. That's crypto. But anyway, that's 100%. You know what? Just for protagonists, let's look at IOTA. Yeah, sitting at the very bottom at 100 at about 19%. Pretty even on the day. Not so great here, but how about weekly 7%? So doing about as well as Algorand in that. Total supply 4.6 billion, circulating supply 4 billion, and no max supply. Again, this is the first time I've ever really looked at IOTA. I'm familiar with it. I've heard of it, of course, but I haven't looked at how it functions. I'm guessing it's one of these ones that doesn't have a capped supply, similar to Ethereum. Protagonists, feel free to fill me in on anything you think I might need to know, but bullish sentiment. I think most altcoins are gonna have bullish sentiment right now. You know what? I just for fun, I kind of want to look at Gala, and I can talk about Gala and why we're looking at it. Still 97, okay. Gala's been under 2 cents for a very long time. And my problem with Gala, I think they've just done everything in the worst possible way. Very bad faith actors, in my opinion. They're getting sued left and right. And this is the game company that really soured me on Web3 gaming. I'm not like totally, I think there's a right way to do it, but I don't think it's the most profitable. I think the most profitable way is also the most extractive. And the way Gala worked is they would come out with these games, and you know, they're not the ones making the games. They're working with game developers. But the pattern was you get this game, you put it in beta, you sell a bunch of really expensive NFTs, and then the game like maybe just stays in beta forever. So the fact that it's still under 2 cents, I'm actually surprised it's still in the top 100, but it's pretty close to falling out at 97. I wonder what it'd be interesting to see what people said. Gala need more size and strang to be 32 cents. Gallon Muna, I don't think so. Heavy resistance. Just see if there's any. I'm bearish for Gala, but miss Bitcoin. Bitcoin, yeah, I don't know about that. I think a lot is stopping Gala. Sean Vogel in the chat saying, Algo to the moon. Welcome, Sean. Appreciate you being here. So we were just looking at Gala. By the way, if you have not hit that like and subscribe button already, appreciate that very much. It helps share the channel, especially the like button. Let's get those likes up. And as I mentioned earlier, we have a super chat contest today. So, or a goal, I guess. So one super chat, we're just trying this out. We're just testing this out. One super chat of $5 or more will hit the goal, and I will reveal the experiment that I'm going to be doing next. So pretty easy goal, I think. And let's get that up there, and then maybe we'll try one. We're just going to see how that goes, okay? Before we get to our news segments, before we get to the Algorand charts, and I do want to cover those and the Hedera ones. Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about our sponsors. So let's start with, I've been here. Why isn't it going to it? Hold on a second here. Oh, that's annoying. Okay, hold on. Hold on a second. We're going to pause for station identification. We'll do it this way. One of our sponsors and our newest sponsor, except also our oldest sponsor, that may be confusing, I'll explain that in a second, is the Haystack app. Haystack, which you can get on the Apple Store and the Google Play Store. Oh, I know what I forgot to do. Before I do that, I just realized I didn't copy all my info into the description. So give me a second here. And this will just take me a second. So the new Haystack app is out, and I am a big fan of it. It makes swapping and doing everything on Algorand so much easier. And this is by the company, by the way. This is by the company that started Non-Fungible Domains, which was our sponsor. And they're the ones that developed the Ready pools. And the Ready pools are for staking, where you can earn rewards without needing to run your own node. And now we've got that in. Okay, good. So let me go back to the share here, because now we've got our link in the description for Haystack. You can start trading, made easy. They got a swap. You can actually do it. You can do it from the main page as well. But if you follow my link, you'll get I believe you get a little bit of a discount, and so will I. So please, if you're going to download it, I really appreciate it if you do it through my affiliate link, and it helps support the channel. But they have this really fancy routing system that will help you that will help you get the lowest price swap. So that's a great way. I'm going to be doing all my swaps on here from now on. So very, very cool, cool platform. I love what they're doing in the space, and yeah, it's great. And you can read the white paper. I want to talk about this actually really quick. The main thing I want to, well, it's the features are frictionless onboarding, mobile first, sustainable token economics, and we're going to get into that. Universal liquidity, aggregation, and referral mechanism. So if you refer, you can get on this, and then you can start referring people, and you can earn a revenue share from the trading fees, which is pretty cool. And the other thing I want to show you is the tokenomics. 35% to community, public sale 30%, team 20%, liquidity 10%, and marketing 5%. You know what's not in there? Do you guys know what's not in there? No VCs, no insider sales. Everything is a public sale. Community for long-term incentives, rewards, and airdrops. But there's nothing here where insiders get anything. And that's why I like this. That's why I like the Hay token, which is part of the Haystack app. So definitely check that out. Check that out in the description below. I appreciate it. I appreciate Haystack for sponsoring the show. And since we're doing that, let's go check out Marcus Aurelius. Marcus is a meme coin and NFT project on the Algorand blockchain, spreading the word about Stoicism. You can join the little Stoic army on Discord or Telegram. You can buy the token. They got videos, Stoic quotes. I mean, they're just spreading the word about Stoicism. I wonder if the roadmap is updated. I'm not sure about that. Also be found on Twitter. Apparently they even have a Facebook and Instagram. You can even email them, and you can get the Marcus coin. I want to show you these characters because this is great. You know, so you got Marcus Aurelius, you got Senecat instead of Seneca, and Epictetus. That's awesome. Here's all the different versions of the kitties. Got the silver armor one. You can just download any of these. You know, put them on your page or something. There they are. Yeah, the guy who does this is really, really cool. I just enjoyed this project. Marco Topolovic, hope I pronounced that right, says Algo heart heart heart. Appreciate you being here, buddy. Appreciate it. Yes. Okay. Let's get, oh, I know. Silly me. We got to look at the Algorand coin charts. Those are looking really nice as well, by the way. So why don't we just dive into that next? You can probably zoom out a little bit. Starting at the top here, we got Haystack down a little bit. It's in the popular category, so definitely getting a lot of attention, as is Liquihog, which is some, I don't even know. And then Alpha Arcade. I'm a big fan of this token too. It's actually up 35% on the day. You know, I got to check because oh my god, oh, that's an algo. Hold on. Yeah, my Alpha Arcade, my $100 experiment in Alpha Arcade is currently worth $265. So that worked out really well. Didn't really buy it for the price appreciation, but that sure worked out. And actually, Juan is coming back now. Juan at about 23% up on the day. This is daily charts. That's a blast from the past. And then Ballsack, one of the more humorously named coins, at 12%. Wild. Yeah, this Busk one kind of took a bath. I did not hear. You know, I've been talking about this. I don't have a lot of I don't have a lot of faith in this coin. I've heard bad things that, you know, I've heard rug pull allegations, that sort of thing. So look at Haystack. Now Haystack is in the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Number 10 And it's actually up 20, down a little bit today, but up 28% on the week. So good for Haystack. I also got Munko up. Gee, I should check on my Munko. I'm just really curious. I'm kind of pulling these up off screen because I don't want to necessarily show my whole account. Oh yeah, my Munko is worth about $75. That one was gifted to me. I'm not really sure who. I think it was the Munko team themselves, probably, but yeah, looking pretty nice. Actually did take a little bit of profit on that earlier. What else can we talk about here? I mean, Algorand itself up 5.6%. Not bad to see. Tiny up a little bit, finally recovering. I switched to Ready Pools now because I want to be exposed to Algorand's price. And I wasn't exposed because I was in liquidity pools. Polka Gold up 7%. What else is big? DeFi Net. These like visual plays on words. I never know how to pronounce them exactly. And the Vestige coin, you know, we're on Vestige right now looking at the different coin prices, up 34%. Not too bad. Pardon me shifting around a little bit here. Like I said, 28% on Haystack. Something called Power. I don't know too much about that. This Liquid Hog, I mean, it was, I believe it's a rug. Oh, it's not a Rug Ninja one, actually. I take that back. Not sure what's up with that. Should we look? Maybe we should find out here, huh? Well, I mean, that's quite the chart. Usually, you know what happens with these. Usually it comes way up and then it comes crashing down. We'll see if that happens. Maybe it won't. Those patterns might actually be disrupted with altcoin season, because we haven't really been through where we had a ton of ASAs and then we had a huge altcoin season. You know, remember the last time this happened was like 2022 when we had some big pumps. It's Juan says, blast from the past. Juan's future is bright. It's Juan is here. Welcome to the chat on X, commenting from X. Good to have you here. And Aftermath asking about Pi-Fi Network. What is that one doing? That was this one, right? Well, ask and you shall receive. I will throw that up on screen. This is a daily chart and looking, yeah, having a little run up there after some fallen wedges there. So this is what I'm talking about with the very typical ASA boot pattern, but it had a little resurgence, so we'll see how that shapes out. I don't know what this algo swine is. Really pumping up like crazy, but it's kind of weird. Okay, let's switch over to HBAR. And then we will probably get to our segments. Now, this is the one I found that has really nice has a nice breakdown of all the different coins on HBAR. I don't have any HBAR. I did some an HBAR video earlier this week, so I don't have HBAR news today, but we can go through the charts a little bit. Who's doing really well? Anyone? I kind of wish they had weekly as well as daily, but Dovu doing really well. We don't have those nice charts like they do. This is 1 day. Here's the weekly. So you had a nice little pump there midweek thereabouts. That's interesting. Oh, I see. This is for where you can make the swap and whatnot. Interesting. A minimum order, you have to buy 15 HBAR worth. I don't really see those in Algorand, but that's a nice little 8% pump. That's really awesome. Any other big ones? HBAR Suite or H Suite did 1.85%. Not too bad. Otherwise, everything else kind of flat. A little bit up, but mostly flat. Saucer Swap, you know, Saucer Swap during that November pump we had was up to, I believe it was like 20 some cents. And I have some of that. So That was nice to see. Pack being the coin from the Hashpack wallet, which is the wallet I use. I like it a lot. That is up 0.6%. Yeah, otherwise, I mean, it's all pretty much something called Bonzo. Karate is an interesting one, down a little bit, but that is the coin behind Karate Combat. Pretty interesting stuff. Smack M, I don't know anything about this one. There's a lot of them. Dino, whatever. I don't know anything about that. You know, I'm assuming these are top. They're not necessarily ranked by volume. I don't know if they're ranked by TVL or by market cap. My guess would be market cap because I could see being at the top as well as Hashpack, but pretty interesting, yeah. Just a reminder before we get to our segments, we have a super chat goal going on right now. So if we get one super chat over $5, we will reveal the next experiment that the Frugal BC channel is going to undertake. So you can check that out. You can find that out just by making your first super chat and helping support the Frugal BC channel. All right, well, let's look at what should we do first? Maybe Chainlink? So like I always say, I set these up. What I kind of do is I set these up, and when I do a segment, I don't respond to chat. I only respond to chats if they're directly relevant to the segment. If they're not, then I will address them after the segment. And if anyone comes in and they're asking about it, you can feel free to inform them that that's how it works. Because sometimes people get mad. They get a little irritated when that happens. So, you know, make sure they're aware of that. But we'll go through the Chainlink segment first, and then we'll get to we got Ondo and we got Algorand. So a lot of good stuff. If you're Algorand, stick around. You might learn some stuff about some other chains. You know, I'm a pretty big fan of Chainlink for its interoperability layer. I think that's a really smart thing that they're doing. I think they're set up really well. And Ondo, I think, is really focusing on bringing traditional finance on chain. And I think that's great. So we're going to go through that, but we're going to do Chainlink first. So let me get my breath back here. So a lot of you guys know that I really like Chainlink, and I also find prediction markets fascinating. In fact, I spend a lot of time talking about Algorand's prediction market, Alpha Arcade. But now Chainlink has actually partnered with Polymarket to bring prediction markets on chain. So this is really fascinating. Let's dive into this news. And this comes right from Chainlink themselves. Polymarket, the leading on-chain prediction markets platform, has officially partnered with Chainlink to launch new 15-minute markets featuring near-instant settlement and industry-leading security. Starting with asset pricing, the integration combines Chainlink data streams and automation to speed up market resolutions and provide robust defense in-depth security. The integration is live on Polygon mainnet. It's interesting. Enabling the creation of robust prediction markets to around any of the hundreds of crypto trading pairs already supported by data streams. This marks just the beginning of the collaboration between Polymarket and Chainlink. That's really awesome. I mean, everybody is just in Polygon themselves, so of course they're into it. Yeah. Polymarket, they're all commenting. I think this is awesome. I'm a huge fan of prediction markets. I think they do better than polls because people have to put real money behind their convictions, you know? So you can't just say, oh, you know, I think this is going to happen. Like if you're wrong, you actually lose money, and that incentivizes you to either be correct or to back off if you're not that sure. So it's almost, if you're not that sure about it. So that's like a test of certainty. I think this is awesome. Like I said, I'm a huge fan of Chainlink, and I love these. I love these different types of things that they're doing. Very awesome. But that is not all. You know, we talked about the Chainlink reserve before, and for those that didn't see that segment or they don't know, Chainlink has this reserve because Chainlink offers services to companies that are on chain and off chain. What the Chainlink reserve does is it takes some of those profits coming in from off chain revenue sources and funnels them back into Link by buying this Chainlink reserve. That means they're taking those off chain profits and putting them back on chain, and that benefits you and me as Chainlink holders. So today, the Chainlink reserve has accumulated 43,000 Link. As of September 11th, that's yesterday now, as I record this, the Chainlink reserve holds a total of $280,468 Link. So 280,000 Link right now. And in fact, we can go, well, let's see what happens. Yep, that's right where it is. That is about good, I don't have to do the math. That is $6.9 million in Link that is being held on Link. That came from off chain. This came from like companies that they're working with. You can see they kind of do it in looks like once a week they add to it. So, you know, they started it. The first tranche was about 65,000. Then not quite double that, probably another 50,000 or so, et cetera, et cetera. So it's been about that much every single time they add it. And they're just building up that reserve. I think that's super cool. I'm such a big fan of this idea. And I think I'd like to see other chains do this too. But of course, they first have to... Oh, I should correct myself, actually. It is a reserve of Link funded via revenue from various off-chain and on-chain sources. So to be fair, some of that is coming from on-chain, but I think the crucial issue here is that it's taking off-chain money and putting it on-chain. That's the biggest deal. So very, very cool. One of the reasons I like Chainlink. I think this is pretty interesting too. This is from Nico. DTCC is going live with Link. The DTCC settles $3.7 quadrillion per year. In case you're wondering what that is the Depository Trust and Clearing Corporation, which processes trillions of dollars in securities transactions yearly, with recent figures showing NSCC processed 3.7 quadrillion in 2024. I don't even know. I can't even fathom what 3.7 quadrillion looks like. I mean, that's just a lot of zeros. That's so much. That's so much that's being processed. That's going to be processed on Chainlink. That's amazing. Can we see this? Yeah, this is like the testnet thing. It doesn't really tell us much here, but this isn't speculation. It's right there, hiding in plain sight. We see it because we're Marines, and the rest of the world is asleep. Quadrillions, any price target you have is FUD. Listen, I don't love the word FUD. I really don't. I do think there's a real thing called FUD that they point toward, but that doesn't mean that. I think FUD gets overused a ton. Like just because something is bad news, like it doesn't mean that it's FUD necessarily. But it might be. It actually might. It also might be. I think FUD is when you put something out there that's false. You know, it's FUD is like every time we entered a bear market, all the journalists would be like, "Oh, see, Bitcoin's over now." It's like, no, it's just in the bear part of the market cycle. So you got to take a little time to understand what you're writing about or what you're talking about. Anyway, I think this is really, really awesome. And I think I really want to look more into this. I wish we had a link on it instead, but that can't be all. Oh yeah, there's this one. Grayscale files for the first US Link ETF with a staking feature. So that's a key element here. There actually is a staking feature involved, which I think is awesome. Let's dive into this. We'll dive into coin market news here a little bit. And move that over a little bit. This is from Coin Market Cap News. Grayscale files for the first US Link ETF reserve with staking feature. And I love how they do that. You can actually like pull up the little chart right inside the article. That's pretty neat. What does it say on there? Rank number 12. Yeah, rank number 12. Grayscale has submitted an S1 registration statement to the SEC for what could become the first spot Chainlink ETF in the United States. And Grayscale, you know, they've been doing a lot of these. They have an HBAR one coming, XRP and Solana, which are not much of a surprise, but I thought the HBAR one was very eye-opening. I'm very happy about that. Anyway, could become the first spot Chainlink ETF in the United States. The proposed fund would convert from the existing Grayscale Chainlink Trust, managing nearly $29 million in assets. The ETF would trade on the New York Stock Exchange, ARCA. I don't know what that is. I haven't heard of that before. I'll have to look into that. Actually, let's do it now. New York Stock Exchange, ARCA, is an all-electronic stock and options exchange that operates as a subsidiary of the Intercontinental Exchange, the parent company of the New York Stock Exchange. Didn't know that. I learned something new today. Formerly known as the Archipelago Exchange, it was acquired by the New York Stock Exchange in 2006. Well, that makes a lot of sense. So they have this like basically electronic version for stock and options trading, and apparently some crypto stuff too, huh? Well, maybe not. No, but the stock would be a crypto. It'd be a crypto stock, basically, an ETF around crypto. Okay. A unique staking component could generate additional yield for investors if regulatory conditions permit. Third-party staking providers would operate while assets remain in custodian wallets, with rewards retained, distributed, and sold for expenses. Share creations and redemptions would process in cash, mirroring existing spot BTC and ETH structures. However, the filing allows for potential in-kind redemptions if future regulations permit such operations. Chainlink's decentralized Oracle network connects blockchains with real-world data, enabling smart contracts to access asset prices and external events securely. Link token pay node operators and secure the network through staking mechanisms. So I kind of want to know, like, well, how much? Okay, that's the announcement. They really talk about, like, I'm curious, like, what the staking is going to be like. As they mentioned, Grayscale has also filed for ETFs covering AVAX, Doge, Litecoin, Sol, and XRP. I thought, did they not? Am I wrong about this? No, I'm not wrong. There's also an HBAR one. I'm just kind of surprised they didn't add that. By the way, I don't think we need a Doge ETF, but whatever. Trump administration's pro-crypto stance has encouraged firms to prepare products they believe could gain approval under the new SEC leadership. Paul Atkins now chairs the commission. Yeah, I think that's a big reason why we're seeing a lot of these is because now the Trump administration has put together this panel and they're trying to make sensible regulations. And, this isn't really about Trump or, good or bad or whatever. This is about, I think in this realm, this administration has been much smarter on crypto, much smarter on crypto than the past one was. I just don't think regulation by enforcement without actually having rules in place makes any kind of sense. I mean, that's just hostility. And I think you can make it safer if you actually create rules and regulations that people have to follow and then expect them to follow it. And then you can actually have this stuff in the US where we can benefit. And taxpayers can benefit because that's, more taxes those companies are going to pay here versus sending them to competing countries. So that's my opinion on that. Yeah, so this is good news. I'm happy about this. Let me just... Boy, we have a really nice audience on all platforms, actually. Appreciate that. I think that was the last link news I had, but let me double check. Oh, nope. I don't know if we have an article here, but this is from Cointelegraph. Latest Caliber becomes the first NASDAQ firm with a link-focused treasury strategy after initial token purchase. So we've heard a lot, like Strategy is famous for having, and before it was called MicroStrategy, famous for having a Bitcoin reserve, treasury reserve. And now Caliber is doing, this is a wealth development company, so it makes sense for them to do that. Yeah, this is really, really interesting stuff. I think that's all I got. And people, very good reactions. There's just been a ton of great link news. I think that's really, really awesome. Okay, now I think, let me double check. Tiny Man, Compex. I'll go, yeah. Yeah, see, I was talking about that. There's the, they filed for the Grayscale Hedera Trust. So I wasn't wrong about that, by the way. So I just want to, I did want to mention that. I think I addressed this earlier in the week in my video, but, we were talking about the Link. We were talking about the Link reserve or the Link ETF, but there also is, they didn't mention the Hedera one, but there's also a Hedera one. All right, I think that is all our Link news for today. So how's everyone doing? We got a nice chat going on. Just a reminder, and I know I keep bringing this up. I know. First off, if you haven't already hit that like button, I would really love it if you did that, and that will help share the channel. In fact, let's find out. Let me pull up. Here, I can do it here because we're off stream. I want to give a shout out to our, people who are leading right now. Nice little audience on. If you haven't already hit that. I think the audience here is great, by the way. We got Abdullah Mahmoud is leading. It says, even Avalanche, appreciate that. You got the #1 spot right now, so congrats. Followed by Marco Topalovic, maybe. #2 on the leaderboard, and Sean Vogel, #3, saying I'll go to the moon. Appreciate you guys being here. I can see the little icon that Stacy sent me, a little kitty cat peeking out of a box. That's super cute. And I want to say we got a goal right now. We got 12 more minutes in the goal. If I get one super chat, one teal super chat, which means $5 or more, I will reveal my new experiment. So only $5. We got 12 minutes, as I said that, to get this. I'm not gonna send a super chat to myself. But the super chat is there. You can check out the goal. You'll see the little you can either hit see goal, or there's a little bullet point there, little bullseye there. I got 12 likes, so that's pretty good. Let's see if we can get that up to 15. That would be really awesome if we can get that up to 15. I appreciate that. And Abdullah says Render and Avalanche. Yeah, Render's a super cool project as well. I like the idea that you can earn money from like extra compute power that you have. What the heck is this? I think it's some weird stuff, man. So I think that's a really neat program. So anyway, yeah, let's get those likes up. I appreciate it. Up to 15. I appreciate the 12 so far. That's super awesome, you guys. Very cool. If you haven't already liked it, and if you're not subscribed, hey man, we do these every Friday. Plus we have videos throughout the week and weekend. Just really trying to grow this channel and growing our X as well. X is we got like almost 100. We got 123 people watching on X, which is awesome. Got some people on Kick. The funny thing is, in my dashboard, it only shows the YouTube audience, but it counts. It sounds weird. It only shows specifically the YouTube audience, but it also shows the Kick audience. So I appreciate you guys being there. Six Sun says, "What do you need? A super chat? How about a high five?" I don't know what that means, but well, that's how you keep these things going. So anyway, that's the goal. Probably like 10 minutes now, since that was about 2 minutes ago that I said that. But we do have that goal, so appreciate you guys. Anyone who wants to donate a super chat, it's the goal is there. It's only $5, and I will reveal my upcoming Algorand experiment. If not, I'll save it for next time, or maybe I'll start a new goal. Anyway, next one is Ondo, so we'll get to that in a second. And I'm gonna go. Joe Bro says Python Network on Coinbase. Good to see. Awesome. Six Sun with the peace sign up. Appreciate that. I'm gonna go. I don't know what this is, but I'm gonna go urinate for a second. So give me a second, and I will be right back, and we'll get to our Ondo and then our Algorand segment. Okay, I'm back. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you letting me pop out for a second. Joe Bro says it is 18 cents. Nice. Yeah, why don't we take a little break here and yeah. Let's see what we got going on here. Byte network number 82. And dropping a little bit today, huh? Not quite 18 cents, 17.5 cents, but fell back a little bit. But yeah, you know, these things change a lot. Looking good on the week though, for sure. 20% up on the week. Close my Pyth position with an average 110% profit, 10x. Nice to see. It's 100% 10x. That's not true. That's like a little over 2x. Danny Kitchen says, you think people have 10 minutes to wait for I assume you mean live to start. Well, yeah. Yeah, actually, people do come in and they wait for a live to start. That's pretty much how all lives start. Because you have to gather your audience up. Oh, people. The comments you get sometimes. Well, hey, let's get to the next thing here. And we're gonna do. Let me go all the way. Oh, back to. All right. That's such a funny comment. That's what like every live stream works. Have you ever never watched live streams before? It cracks me up. As opposed to what? Like if you're just gonna sit there watching it anyway. Yeah, people that tune in, usually the people who like really like you, they tune in first. And then other people come later. The people come throughout the entire stream. I mean, that's how it works. Crazy. All right, so like I always say, I don't really respond to chat while I'm in the middle of doing a segment. So unless it's like directly related to the segment, and then I will respond because it's relevant. Also, it was like 5 minutes, by the way. It wasn't 10 minutes. But that's like super common. I don't even know why you'd bring that up. It's so crazy. Anyway, I'm gonna check this really quick. Actually, hold on. I'm gonna do one more thing here. Anyway, I'm gonna check this really quick. I should link them. That'd be good, right? Oh, we got Trillion. BC Kowalski says, "What's your NFD? Let me send you $5 so you can announce your algo thing." Yeah, let's do that. I appreciate that. My NFD is frugalbc.algo. Frugalbc.algo. I'm going to put it in the chat too. I don't know if I will go to. So I just put. I don't think it goes to X though, but it's frugalbc.algo. So I appreciate that. And yeah, we'll get to that. That's coming from the Trillion account. Little hint, by the way, at who might be coming on the YouTube show next. So keep an eye out for that. Okay, so let's see. No one super chatted, but I'll just trust that it's going to happen. I'm going to talk about my new experiment. And then we will get to the Ondo segment, I promise. My new experiment is I'm going to be trying out this CompX staking pool because I'm really, appreciate that, Trillion. I appreciate that. I very much appreciate that. That gives you a little hint. By the way, that's another thing, and I kind of talked about it a little bit earlier, but we've got a very special guest that will be coming up in a few weeks, so keep an eye out for that. The recent comment on X may give you a little bit of a hint, but it will be very, very fun. Someone I'm very fond of, I think is one of the greatest people, one of the best people in the crypto space. We will be getting to that. But this is CompX, and this is going to be the next experiment. And the reason why, for USDC XUSD, you can get 57.74% staking it, which is really crazy. Now, I'm going to tell you, I logged into here earlier, and I had some trouble. I had a little bit of trouble pulling. I had a little pool on it before, and I couldn't pull it off for some reason. So I'm going to be trying some different, maybe some different browsers or something to see if I can get that to work. I had a little PayPay Algorand, and it was suggesting that PayPay Algorand became like quite a bit of money, which I'm a little shocked about. So I'm not entirely sure what's going on there. But guys, I've told you before, whenever you can do liquidity pairs in stable coins, that's just like free money. That is just like free money, because I don't know where this is. I don't know where this 50% is coming from. This is wild. Oops. But this is a stable coin plus an XUSD, which is also a stable coin. Basically, you kind of can't lose. So we're going to be trying this out. This is appreciate Trillion for funding the super chat here, and You know, it's great. Actually, I like that. I should probably, what I should do from now on is make that as an alternative to the super chat, because you know what? If you send it to me via my NFD, I'm just going to get all of it versus, you know, giving YouTube some of it. And I don't mind with the ad revenue. I don't mind because they provide the platform. They're, you know, they're bringing in the ad revenue and I'm getting a cut of it. I think that's legit. But for people, when they donate it to you directly, I think YouTube's cut should be much smaller than it is on ad rev, because they're literally, you know, they did some work. They provide the infrastructure. I think they should get some of that, but I think it should be lower than what it is for ad revenue, because that person is trying to give it to you directly. So that's just my thought. But like I've told you guys, when you can take advantage of something like this, now I don't know a ton about the XUSD token, and that's why I do the experiment. I don't just like assume things are going to work or not work. I just try them out, you know? Definitely go check out the Trillion account. In fact, I'm going to pull that up. If you guys aren't following the Trillion account, go follow the Trillion account. It's got Algorand going on here. I like that. Trillion.io. Yeah, we definitely, you definitely want to follow the Trillion account here. So very much appreciate it. Appreciate them funding this experiment. And this is going to be the new experiment. So we're going to try it out. And then, as you guys know, channel members get the kind of play-by-play going on here. So I do, and I'm definitely due for another membership video for the top tier. And I want to show you guys what I'm doing. And I will show you how the experiment is going. You know, we got the alpha arcade experiment going on right now. I've got the Ready Pool experiment, which I switched back from DeFi, so we'll talk about that. I have that video coming out really soon. So, and then we'll talk about this in a little more depth, but that's my new experiment. So thanks for Trillion for funding it. Appreciate that a lot. And then now we will get to Ondo. Whew. In the meantime, how's everyone doing out there? Everyone doing good? We got a huge X audience, 170. I really wish they had that monetized, but it's nice to see anyway. Nice to get a good audience and get some. So anyway, as I explained earlier, when I go into one of the segments, I don't necessarily respond to chat. So you may not hear that from me. I will, if it's directly related to Ondo and what I'm talking about, I will include it, because I like getting that response back and forth. But if it's something non-Ondo related, I'll wait till after the segment, because I like to clip these for YouTube videos. So let me, one thing I gotta do here. Find which one. Okay. As you guys know, I am a huge fan of Ondo Finance. I love the mission that they're on to bring traditional finance on chain. And they just did that recently with a huge announcement about a huge global market push to get stocks on chain so people can invest in them, starting with like 100. We covered this earlier. It's just amazing. And one of the big deals is that allows people from all over the world to easily invest in US markets, which helps you, even if you're not a crypto person, even if you're just a stock market person, that's going to help you too. So why don't we get into this Ondo news, because there's a little discussion about, I think this is really, really cool how they're setting this up, and kind of talking about the future of what on-chain development, on-chain assets looks like. So right here, Ondo Finance talking about on-chain capital markets represent a $1 trillion opportunity 5 years from now. When people open their first investment account, it will be on blockchain rails, and they'll be able to hold equities, crypto, and transact 24/7. This is the Bankless. This is the Bankless show, which is pretty interesting. We got Ian Bode and Nathan Allman, both from Ondo Finance. Let's see what they have to say.
This forward to 2030, what do you think capital markets, what do you think TradFi looks like? What do you think Wall Street looks like? How much in value do we have in tokenized assets just in general? I mean, we're still under $1 trillion, right? We're $250 billion right now. How big does this get? How fast does it happen? And what does the future look like?
That's a tricky answer, tricky question to answer, because I think what we've seen so far is the adoption of this space really works with the hockey stick, right? So it's almost like you're doing a lot of prep and for a while nothing really happens and there's a little bit of adoption, but then all of a sudden the right components are in place. I think with stablecoin that ended up being the DeFi ecosystem that formed, and all of a sudden there was just this hockey stick growth of the asset so that it now is, 280 billion and continuing to grow, because more and more people's minds, the stablecoin is a good way to get access to the US dollar. And I'm sure over time, we'll see the same thing with US treasuries, US stocks, and US ETFs. So it's going to be very interesting to see. I'm not sure I have a number for you, but I do feel pretty confident that, 5 years from now, 2030, a lot of people who open up an investment account for the first time, it will be on-chain rails, on blockchain rails, and they'll be able to hold equities, crypto, really whatever asset class that it is they want to hold, and be able to transact in it 24/7.
That is amazing. And also, I kind of agree with that. I think that is where this is going. I really do. I think we're going to see people just being able to do this seamlessly on chain. Ideally, I think they wouldn't even necessarily know that it's blockchain working in the background. I'm always a big fan of hide the tech. I think that's a really important concept in crypto. The idea that this is going on in the background, you're not necessarily aware that it's crypto. Right now, crypto is frankly too crypto-y. I know people are going to think that's funny. It sounds funny. I get it. But I think just the same way that Robinhood made it really, really easy for people to invest, I think Ondo is going to take that to the next level and make it just so much more seamless. By the way, look at these guys. I never actually looked at the team behind Ondo, and that's on me. So
if we're to project this forward to 2030, what do you think
previously worked
capital
at
markets, what do you think
McKinsey
TradFi looks like? What do you think Wall Street looks like? How much in value do we have in tokenized
also did digital assets at Goldman Sachs.
Just in general.
And he also lists Brown University. I don't know if he did digital assets at Brown, or he was just saying he
how big does this get? How fast does it happen?
Two very smart
what does the future look like?
Were involved in finance.
It's a tricky tricky question to answer.
McKinsey is what we've seen so far consulting firms.
The adoption of this space really works with the hockey stick.
And I actually knew someone. I met
so it's
someone
almost
who
like you're doing a lot of prep, and for a while nothing really happens, and there's a little bit of adoption. But then all of a sudden,
worked for the
right
meditation app,
are in place.
He was working at our little local newspaper for a while, and then he ended up going to Google. So
that formed,
I just thought that was like an interesting little connection. But I think they're 100% right. By the way, these videos don't need to keep. Oh, why did that video play again? God, that's irritating. That's so irritating. It just started playing again. Sorry, that audio probably got a little messed up, but I think this is huge. I think they're right. I just think they're 100% right. That's all there is. But let's, we got more Ondo news, so let's look at that news. By the way, I just think these video players, they just can't get it right. It's like, if I click on something, then I want to hear it. If I don't click on it, I don't want to hear it. That's a pretty basic framework for how they could make this thing work. But let's move on. And here's another huge win for Ondo. Ondo Finance has appointed Peter Curley as head of global regulatory affairs. And they say this is massive. Why? Well, Peter's resume speaks for itself. 7 years EVP at Hong Kong exchanges, 4 years associate director at the SEC. Dang. Deputy director at FDIC, senior policy advisor to the U.S. Treasury, senior advisor at Coinbase. So yeah, maybe has a little bit of knowledge there, a little bit of experience. Man, that is something else. Probably don't need these headphones on anymore. I don't have any Any more segments coming up? From TradFi to Web3, Peter's experience bridges the gap perfectly. With recent moves like WisdomTree Global Market Alliance, Fidelity FDIT 99% O USG allocation, global markets launch, it's clear Ondo isn't just growing, it's building the regulatory foundation for the future of tokenized markets. Well, this is awesome. Yeah, this is a guy you want on your team. Look at that. Look at that resume. That is wild. Peter Curley, he's going to make sure that Ondo is doing things the right way. I mean, that's pretty much guaranteed. When you got someone with this kind of resume, that's a big deal. That's pretty interesting. You know what? I will follow it. Why not? And by the way, this is just a little one. Can't make this up. 3 hours ago, this guy told his 112,000 followers to short Ondo when Ondo was showing a rising RSI with higher highs and lower lows. By the way, like, who would tell don't short, never short in a bull run. I mean, you're just asking for disaster. So now 3 hours later, Ondo is skyrocketing and he just led 112,000 people to the slaughterhouse. Yeah, not smart. It's at like 100, it's like 109 right now. In a bull run, yeah, don't short. Why would you short? That's so silly. Of course you don't short. 112,000 followers, and he told them to short Ondo. I just went, listen, I'm never going to tell you guys to buy or sell anything. I'm just going to talk about what I'm doing. If you want to like play along, that's cool. If you don't, that's up to you, you know? So he retweeted this on top of this. I'm not sure why exactly, because he's not really like commenting on that, but he did say TVL surpasses 1.5 billion. TVL starting to run up big again, and price action too. That's a lot. That's a lot. Look at that run up. That is crazy. Yeah, that's a lot of TVL. I do other chains right now, but and so I guess I see what he's saying, because he's saying, well, the TVL is running up, meaning a lot of liquidity is pouring into Ondo, meaning, you know, it's likely to push up the price. But I think the market overall is just pulling up that price, which is really cool. Got a Polygon space. Maybe we'll tap in when we're done with Ondo, but Ondo looking great on the TVL, all that good stuff. I thought we had one more Ondo. Do I have more Ondo? The past 14 days for Ondo have been game-changing. We're talking about more than just the launch of global markets here. Global markets launching was huge, yes, and it is huge, by the way. Let's not sugarcoat it, but look beyond the news headlines. Let's dive in and look at some of Ondo's most bullish feats lately. Well, I'm curious what he has to say. This is from Kyron. I don't know Kyron. No BS crypto host. We all say that, right? Ondo Global Markets Alliance is an often overlooked part to this initiative. There are some of the biggest names in Web3 backing Ondo in the future of RWAs. We recently saw a TradFi giant join the fund. WisdomTree now joins as the first TradFi entity. That's pretty cool. With this release of the global markets came tons of new assets flooding the Ondo ecosystem. After all, there's hundreds of US equities. As a result, we saw Ondo's total issued RWAs jump from under double digits to 105 overnight. The results, as we can see, we reached new all-time highs for RWA TVL, which we just covered. You know, the the TVL way up. We also just got news of Ondo now getting involved with Fidelity. So Fidelity, for those who don't know, like I think the two biggest like stock index focused firms are Vanguard and Fidelity, and they've had absolutely opposite approaches to cryptocurrency. Vanguard is like, no, never, ever, ever to crypto. We just have zero interest in it. Fidelity has been like, let's check this out. I think Fidelity is going to come out ahead on this one because they are actually focused on crypto. And I think that's really smart. You know, they see where the ball's going, you know, they're they're leading the receiver with their past. They're not as stuck in the past. I think Vanguard is stuck in the past. And I think listen, I love Vanguard, okay? I think Vanguard has done some really great stuff for investors, offering a way, they pioneered the index fund, allowing investors to like benefit from the market with very low fees because frankly there's nothing to manage. But I think Fidelity, I think they're off on this. They're just wrong. Yeah, so Fidelity has $5 trillion in assets under management. That's what AUM means. This is through Fidelity's new on-chain MMF monetary market fund, I think, which is the sole anchor and largest investor of the fund, with OUSG representing over 99% of FDIT's assets. So they're getting involved with Ondo to enter the RWA space. Don't sleep on Ondo. Don't sleep on Ondo. Ondo also got a mention by JP Morgan's head of Kinsex platform. Well, I mean, a mention is nice. A month back, the two had partnered with Link, also in the mix for cross-chain payments. Here we see JP Morgan's head of platform directly mentioning Ondo partnership on CNBC. So that's pretty cool. And I've been, I was talking to someone who's a friend of mine who's not necessarily like super into crypto. And when I mentioned Ondo, he lit up and he was like, oh yeah, I think that's really cool. I like what they're doing there. So it's kind of interesting. Same thing, and this was a guy too that mentioned Solana to me maybe 4 or 5 years ago. Anyway, tomorrow we'll be seeing Mark Janoff from Ondo talking with the SEC Commissioner Hester Pierce. So that would have happened because that would have been September 10th. I believe that was Wednesday. This isn't the first time we've seen Ondo interacting with the SEC, and I'm sure it won't be the last. Reminder, SEC Chairman Brian Brooks. Brian Brooks equals Securitize Advisor. Securitize is Ondo's tokenization partner. Interesting. By the way, this may sound weird, but like when I see the name Hester, I would have thought that was a guy. Interesting. And that's it. That's a lot of good Ondo news. What did you guys think about that? Huh? That's pretty cool, huh? I tell you, like, I think Ondo is like, just don't sleep on it. You shouldn't sleep on Ondo. It's doing some really wonderful things. So appreciate that, guys. Appreciate everyone being here for the Ondo news. We got some Algorand stuff coming up next. Never drink on screen. I got a little scolding from my lovely lady friend who's in radio. It said, "Don't drink. Make sure you hit the mute button when you drink water." And fair enough. I want those because I always want to get better. Oh, I got a super chat from Cedric William. I appreciate that, brother. Hello. What are your thoughts on XYO and RSO? Well, why don't we pull those up on screen? I admit I don't necessarily know a ton about those. But let's start. Let's start with XYO. I'm gonna pull this up and then we'll get to our Algorand segment. But I gotta acknowledge the super chat there. Appreciate that. Well, first off, having a nice pump on the week, 6.7%. Let's see, total supply is 13.93 billion. And it's all out. Oh, that's always good. It's all out in the wild. So that's a good thing. Profile score 91%. That's good. Very bullish sentiment. I think that's really great. Nice to see that. It's interesting because at least in terms of total supply, very close to Algorand or SWI. With 10 billion. I kind of wonder how they chose 13.93 billion. That's like an interesting number. You know what I mean? Let's see, where can you get it? You can get it. Oh, you can get it on Coinbase. Okay, good. And what number is it? Number 290. So in the top 300. Okay. Very nice. And let's pull up TradingView for a second. I might have to zoom in a little bit. Let's see what we're, oops. So I'd be careful because it's very oversold right now. So I would watch out for that. So you can see this when this RSI is super high like this, you could be coming back for a correction. Usually anytime you get out of this range and then under this range, that is like almost always a buying opportunity. And we're talking short term. So if you're like long term, if you're in this on long term, Cedric, and anyone else watching, then you don't worry about this. This is for trading, for short-term trades, if that's what you want to do. We can look at the Bollinger Band too, just for fun. Really? Oh, I always think it's 1L. Yeah, also at the very top of that Bollinger Band, that's usually an indication you're going to get a pop down. It could go sideways, and with this bull run, it could also go sideways. So okay, that's XYO. Let's look at RSR. Reserve rights, interesting name, up to 127. That's pretty cool. Let's see, we got 7.7 up on the day, on the week. That's pretty good. Looks like maybe a little flat on the day, huh? We got total supply of 100 billion. So that's trying to think what else that's like. Hedera is like 50 billion. So I'm not sure about the total supply here. That's 100 billion is about twice of Hedera's and about 60% out. That's good to see. That doesn't always matter, by the way. Because that's the supply side. So people will say like, oh well, if there's the whole thing is out, that means, it's going to go up in value. Not always, because there's also the demand side. So it's two things that interact. It's the supply side and the demand side. I would say demand must be pretty decent if it's up to 127. It's good to see. Very bullish under 90% there. That's good. And you can get it on Binance or Coinbase. Also Uniswap. All the other ones too, like Upbit, OKX, all that stuff. Good to see that. Yeah, and we have an about. I think they have an about too. Reserve Protocol is a platform that enables the creation of stable digital currencies backed by other digital assets. It functions like a digital vault where value remains steady, unlike volatile cryptocurrencies. Well, this is an interesting approach. The platform aims to create more stable alternatives to traditional currencies, particularly benefiting people in economically unstable regions. So I like this. People forget about this in crypto. This is a really important point. Let me take a little drink here for a second and I'll make that point. This is one of the things I think gets under-celebrated in crypto, because we think, if you're in the US like me, you think, well, I have access to finances. I can go to a bank. I don't need any of this. But people in some of these more economically unstable regions where, the price of your currency may go all over the place, having a stable coin, especially backed by like the US dollar or something that's more stable than maybe some of these other countries, like imagine like Venezuela right now. That currency is all over the place. Even Argentina struggled with that. Doing a little better under Malay right now, but this is a big deal in countries like Nigeria or some of the Latin American countries where people live on their phone. Their bank is their phone is their bank. So I'm always big on these projects. Regardless of like price action, I just think they're cool. I think they're doing good in the world. Why don't we pull up TradingView here, and I'm going to do the same thing. We're going to look at where, by the way, I think probably most of the market is roughly oversold. Oh, this one isn't. So actually, let's put up the Bollinger Bands too. This one could be, it's a little kind of like mid-level right now. Not really oversold right now. And kind of like, flirting with bouncing off that Bollinger Band. So give it a little time. You might see some pump up in the more short term, but yeah, interesting. Definitely an interesting chart. Very different than the one we just looked at. What was it? XYO. Yeah, very different than XYO. because that one was very overbought. This one is kind of mid-range, so interesting to compare those two. But Cedric, I appreciate the super chat. Thanks for giving us a chance to look at something a little bit different. Now we're going to go back to Algorand, and I might need to take a little break. Not like I'm not going to leave. 242 people watching on X. I love to see it. Love all my people on YouTube as well as Kick. So appreciate everyone being here. And let me just set up the... I'm going to set up the segment here. We got some Algorand news. We're going to talk about Cedric says, thank you for that. You went above and beyond. Easy to understand, and I appreciate your perspective. Cedric, thanks so much for being here, brother. I really appreciate it. Appreciate the super chats, both of them. Very touched. I think that's really awesome, and I'm glad you're here, man. Anytime. It was fun to look at these extra, kind of dive into some coins that I don't normally look at. So I appreciate the opportunity to do that, and you're always welcome here. So. Anyway, getting back to Algorand, we're going to look at the new XGov. I'm going to go through that in a little bit briefly, and we're going to look at some OGs and what they've been cooking up, because I think this is good. This is a nice little post from the Algorand Foundation, so we'll look at that. And I'll set up I will set up the next segment. But we're gonna go. I took some notes on the space yesterday on how XGov is gonna work, so we'll dive into that. Let's see, what should we start with? Oh, we'll start with this. Okay, so just a reminder for everyone watching, and I do appreciate everyone watching. When I do these segments, and I know people who are watching the whole stream are like, yeah, we get it. But for those just tuning in, the way I do these is I go through them. I start the segment, and then I don't respond to any chats. I will acknowledge super chats, but I might not be able to respond to your super chat until the end of the segment, but I will at least acknowledge it. Any other chats, if they're relevant to the segment, we'll talk about it in the segment. If it's not, we'll wait till afterwards. But thanks so much, guys. And yeah, let's set this up. Gotta take one more drink of water. Well, you guys know I love Algorand, and I've been covering Algorand for a very long time. And recently, the Algorand Foundation released a list of what people are building, and I thought it'd be really interesting to go through this list and talk about some of these apps. Some of these have been around a really long time, and I really love the idea of shouting out some of these OG players in the space. So let's dive into this. And this was sent by the Algorand Foundation directly. And I'm just going to read through this, and then we'll comment as we go. The Algorand ecosystem has been cooking. Hey.app, that's the Haystack app, which you can check out in my description, and check out that swapping mechanism. You can check out the app down in my description and help support the channel at the same time. Haystack went live and sold out their first token tranche in 8 seconds and their second tranche in 9 minutes. Nice. By the way, I really love the tokenomics on Haystack, the Hay token, because there's no insiders, 0 insiders, all public or with the team or for marketing and things like that, but there's no inside, no VC sales. I like to see that. Alpha Arcade passed $2 million in volume. Users can now place prediction markets in Algo, USDC, and even more ASAs, thanks to Para feature. That's the Para wallet for people that don't know. Alpha Arcade is a prediction market built on Algorand, and if you own Alpha token, you can actually earn USDC rewards. Very cool. 60 plus projects launched on Algorand via Easy A and 42 Berlin. By the way, Easy A, these guys are awesome. like Like both of the brothers, it's created by the Kwok brothers, who both follow me and are, they interact with me regularly. I really like these guys. And, they onboarded Algorand, and they did a hackathon at Harvard. That's really, really cool. Folks Finance. Now, Folks Finance has been around a really long time. They're one of the OGs, as is Tiny Man. We'll get to both of those. Folks Finance launched Algorand ecosystem isolated markets. Definitely something we should dive into on a future show. And Tiny Man hit an all-time high with 100 million Tiny locked in governance. Super cool. Tiny Man, also an OG. I mean, it was one of the first platforms I was using on Algorand. Besides Yieldy, I was on day one on Yieldy, which was like the first DeFi platform on Algorand, and they didn't go a good direction. We'll just say that. Startup challenges launched with 125,000 in prizes for participants. Aid Trust Portal launched, already used by UN partners via HisabPay. By the way, HisabPay, big deal. This is a payments platform in Afghanistan. They are now expanding out, from what I understand. It's just like PayPal, but it's on the Algorand blockchain. That's super cool. Uphold launched Algorand staking. Uphold is like a big exchange. So they have that now. So someone asked me about like if Coinbase was going to start offering Algorand staking, and I'm not sure, because I know there's like they initially said that there was a limit to how much could be staked at once. So apparently it must be possible because this Uphold company is doing it. So maybe. Go Plausible delivered the feature of AI agents on Algorand with Web2 logins that connect to the blockchain. Nice. PacFi launched rewards for POW liquidity mining and CCLPs. Compex Labs announced major orbiting lending updates. By the way, if you missed it earlier, Compex staking with XUSD and USDC is going to be our new experiment we'll be starting. CPayant Mobile went live on Algorand mainnet after joining the accelerator. As a pioneering trade tech company focused on Africa, powering intra-Africa cross-border trade by offering cutting-edge solutions. Nice. And see what I was talking about? This is really big for countries and continents, like countries in Africa, countries in Latin America. Very big deal. Bubba Pay went live on Algorand. Got another payments platform. They offer like a way to kind of like do proof of concept for Algorand projects. It's pretty neat. Maybe we'll have to have them on the show sometime too. Algorand Explorer added BTC and USDC to the arcade rewards. Ghetto Pigeons dropped Pigeon Puffs. It's a new, apparently can do some earning on the Ghetto Pigeons platform. Still one of those games, I really got to try it out. They've been around for a while and I appreciate what they're doing. Axiomatic Oracle. I haven't heard about this one. I'm going to follow them. Trust layer for tokenization. Proofs, not data. I'll follow them. Let's see. Proofmint went live and launched a TEDx event. Launched at a TEDx event in India. We are a decentralized credentialing platform powered by Algorand. Verifiability meets privacy. Own your own credentials. Nice. Fractal Labs. Okay, so Fractal Monsters. It was a game on the Algorand blockchain. They're one of the earlier ones, and they did great work. But now they launched a TCG, which is a tradable, collectible, trading card game, which is collectible, and it's very similar to Hearthstone, but you can, it's fun. It's really fun. I've participated in one of the tournaments. They actually were funding me to live stream it, but the live stream didn't go well. Working on building my PC right now, so that's what that is. But yeah, definitely, if you like those kind of games, you should check this out. It's a lot of fun. Cosmic Champs introduced limited events. One of the earlier interviews I had on the show was with the Cosmic Champs founder. I don't know if he's involved. Now Simon from Cosmic Champs is someone I talk to a lot, so. But that's all the really cool stuff being built on Algorand right now. And, you know, it's like I said, so many baller OGs in the space. I don't know if you can see my comment. I'll zoom down a little bit. So many baller OGs in that space. It's good to see. I think that's great. I think that's really awesome. I tell you what, I don't know how those guys do it, where they I don't know. They live stream for like 7 hours. My voice is already killing. But I want to talk about. I'm just going to leave this, video up on the screen because it looks kind of cool. Also, sorry about this. I should have that zoomed in a little more. Let's see. Oh yeah, so I want to talk about the Algorand XGov and how that's going to work. I took some notes. And so a lot of you guys know there's like a new XGov council made up of some pretty good people, including John Mazzoni from Transaction Labs. Transaction Labs started the Haystack app that we just referenced. And right now, XGov is still in beta. So I took some notes from the space. So we're just going to talk a little bit about, I know what's going on screen is only partially related, but I want to talk a little bit about what is going on. First off, if you want to be a project that gets funded on XGov, so the idea, this is about decentralization. This is about allowing the community to vote on what projects get funding and how much. They basically have small, medium, and large categories. 2,000 to 25,000 algo is the small, medium is 25,000 to 100,000, and large is 100,000 to 200,000. So you must be registered with Electric Capital to do this, and they're starting with open source only because they want to incentivize some of the public. What the community thinks should be the public goods. So I think that's awesome. And you'll be able to create a proposal, go to the XGov website, and they just kind of walk you through. There's some KYC. They said that they tried to do very light KYC. And there's also a deposit. There's a deposit fee and an anti-spam deposit. Now, I thought the anti-spam deposit is pretty interesting. And you get the spam deposit back as long as enough of the XGovs, which is, you and me, if we want to participate, if we at least vote on it, even if we vote against it, as long as we vote on it, you'll actually get enough people vote on it, you'll actually get the anti-spam feedback. But if enough people just ignore it, that means they thought you were spam and weren't worth voting on, and then you actually don't get your anti-spam deposit back. They will check. There's like a terms and conditions check to make sure you actually qualify. So it's not just there are some qualifiers basically. You can delegate votes to other people. Now it's set up so the more blocks that you propose, the more voting power. So you have to be staking now to be able to vote in XGov. Now that doesn't necessarily mean running a node. It also means that if you are in ready pools, which is a way to stake without running a node, you can still participate in that. Right now, apparently only 298 accounts have signed up, so they definitely want more than that. And the vote duration will be 1 week, so quorums are necessary to approve grants. You have to have a certain 50% of the people have to vote in favor. Actually, 50% of the XGovs need to vote. So if there's 500 XGovs, 250 need to vote. And 60% of the total vote must be present. So actually, if you so what they're saying is, like, if you think you don't like the project necessarily, but you think it's legit, you should still vote in it. But if you don't think it's legit, then you actually shouldn't. Like, if it looks fishy, then you actually shouldn't even vote. You shouldn't even participate at all. So all the XGov stuff, by the way, is going to be open source. It's going to be, the REPL will be on GitHub. If you're a developer and you know what that means, that's for you. I guess, I know what that means too, but that's that. And then Adri from the foundation is saying that they're going to have some stuff coming up to get people's attention. So there's stuff in the pipeline. So keep an eye out for that for sure. So I just wanted to go through that. I wanted to go through the XGov and how it's going to work. Like I said, if you want to see the whole space, I I did a live stream earlier. Well, it was yesterday, Thursday. I live streamed it, so you can watch the whole thing. You can find that on my live tab on my YouTube channel. You can see the whole rest. So be sure you can check that out there. And let's see what else we got. More Algorand, a little more Algorand news for sure. Let me find it. So folks is leading Polygon's TVL growth with 2,451% increase in the last month. This highlights the growing market preference for capital efficient DeFi. So cross-chain DeFi is winning, says folks. So if you don't know, folks, finance is on, it was started on Algorand and it moved to multi-chain, which I think is a good thing. As long as you don't abandon the initial token that helped fund you, I think it's great. I think it's really awesome to have multi-chain. I think that's the future. If you're going to run a platform, you just need to be on a lot of chains. You know, it's kind of just like multi-streaming. Like, it's better to be in a bunch of different places, in my opinion. So good for folks. They do have some really good staking options, or deposit options where you just earn yield. So if you're interested in that, that's a good place to do it. I think they got more yet. So Matt Holmes is actually building Kobai, which is unlocking ownership, wealth creation. Let's actually look at that. So this is like a home co-ownership platform is plan, buy, own, and exit together, serving co-buyers since 2016. And Matt is behind that, so accredited investors only. DM me today, raising our angel round now. So if that's something you're interested in, you can check that out. By the way, the whole creditor investor rule is so stupid. I don't know if you guys know that. All it means is you have money. It doesn't mean you actually know what you're doing. So, and that's not on Matt, by the way. It's just the rules, right? And I hope they change that. But I'd rather see a test, because let's see if I remember. It's either $1 million in assets or I think $250,000 a year in income. You know, and that means you have a job and you make money, right? Like good money, but you could do that and have no idea what you're doing when it comes to investing. I've just never been a big fan of those rules. I think I got something else yet. I mean, those are the main things I want to cover. Oh, I was going to show this really quick. Tiny Man, which is, they say they're the DEX backbone of Algorand, now live on Nansen. So you can track their growth, transactions, users, and adoption trends. And that's good for Algorand too, because now another Algorand platform will be contributing to Algorand as a whole on Nansen. So good to see that. I want to talk about this. And this is kind of what I'm talking about. We're updating our staking pool UI to add a new legacy pools tab. This will show all older versions of staking pools. These will remain until all stake is removed. The All Pools tab will only show current active pools. Right now, that's just the consensus pool. More updates, including new core staking pools, coming soon. And we kind of saw this when we talked about, you can see this here. We were talking about this earlier because this is going to be my new experiment. We're going to be doing, not these necessarily, but some of the other staking pools with stable coins, which means you kind of can't lose your initial stake. Because one of the problems that happens is that you put money into these things, and then you think you're getting this great APY, but then the underlying asset goes down so much that it erases any of your gains. But when you can do this with stable coins, that's like basically free money. So good for Compex. We're going to be trying that experiment, so keep an eye out for that. Channel members especially will get the inside look at that. Algorand is uncapping the supply of Algo, and this is from Recoup, who also has a show. We do follow each other. Algorand is uncapping the supply of Algo. This is from Jenny Levine, who is the Chief Legal Officer, also Operations Officer at Algorand Foundation. While we do not believe that Algorand's current staking model implicates efforts of others under the Howey test, it's clear that the SEC's recent guidance signals that programmatically distributed, newly minted staking rewards sit on the clearest regulatory footing. As we look ahead, this perspective, and we'll scroll down a little bit here. As we look ahead, this perspective must inform our planning, especially within the context of Project King Safety, our initial our initiative to ensure that protocol sustainability over the long term. Aligning Algorand's staking model with this guidance will not only reinforce compliance, but also strengthen the network's foundation for enduring growth. Feels bad to see Silvio's vision end in utter defeat. He was supposed to disappear with Algorand humming. Instead, he's gone, leaving the protocol in the hands of shaky leadership with murky direction forward. Hopefully, Stacy and the crew can pull this off. Someone mentioned major shade. He says, telling people about a major change to the tokenomics is not major shade. I don't understand what his point is, though. We do not believe that Algorand's current staking model implicates efforts of others, and that must inform their planning. I don't. It says aligning Algorand's staking model with this guidance will not only reinforce compliance but also strengthen the network's foundation. I don't understand what's different, though. It doesn't really spell out what's different, so I don't really know what the Coop is talking about here, to be honest. I don't, because it doesn't really spell out exactly what it just says. It's clear that the SEC's recent guidance signals that programmatically distributed, newly minted staking rewards sit on the clearest regulatory footing. I guess I'm missing something there. I don't know what to say about that. Last one, I just thought this was a little bit interesting from Algo Scout. The foundation just deposited 25 million Algo into Folks Finance. Not sure what's going on there, but hopefully USDC Algo pools are next. I will tell you, I miss this a lot. Pretty neat graph, by the way. Where's the dashboard? Did you respond to that? Someone did. I miss USDC Algo. That was my favorite staking pool when it was incentivized, because when Algorand was at 40 to 50 cents, I was getting like $15 a day in rewards. I mean, that was pretty cool. And I was looking forward to that getting even higher. And then they switched to staking, and the opportunities are not nearly the same. It was unsustainable, to be fair. Like, it wasn't going to last forever, because they're not going to have that. They're obviously not going to have the money to, or the Algorand, I guess, to fund that long term. But it was sure nice in the short term. So now I'm doing staking, I guess, and that's fun. So I think that's the end of our Algorand segment, and I think we're kind of getting to the end here. So guys, appreciate everyone tuning in. We went 2 hours. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Cedric, thanks again for the super chat. If you're still watching, really appreciate that. I don't think we have anything else, but you know, it's a tough week, guys. You know, it's really sad to see some of the stuff happening with Charlie Kirk. You know, whether you liked him or not, the reaction of someone being assassinated, it's just really troubling. You know, I just think no matter who it is, whether it's someone on the far left or far right, you know, I just don't think we should. Cedric says, no doubt. Yeah, appreciate that, man. Really appreciate that. I just think, you know, we should be good to each other, and we should be able to disagree on things. You know, we all come in here, we talk about crypto, we chop it up, you know, we disagree, we agree, we disagree, and it's all good. At the end of the day, we're all human, and we should all get along, in my opinion. I know that sounds like really, maybe hippy dippy or something, but you know, it's like, what's the point? What are we all here for? We're not here to fight. We can have the debate. I love having the debate. You know, I'm a huge free speech guy. I want to have the debate, whether it's left, right, I don't care. I find stuff I agree and disagree with all of them, frankly. So anyway, guys, everyone, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. Hope you're all doing well out there. Remember, not your keys, not your crypto. And I'm Frugal BC, and I will see you